No. All right, let's try this again. Good Friday morning, everyone. How's everybody doing today? This is a good Friday, no doubt. Temperature's going in the right direction, and this is your Friday morning meeting. It is Friday, April 7th, 2023. And this morning up here with me, I've got John Harden in our safety department. John's got to get his mic going here. But no, John's been with Prime for about 20 years, roughly. 15 of those, he's a fleet manager. Last year or so, he's been moved into the safety department. Great having him. We did a little time in intermodal too, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I'm back. I've got a working mic now. Sorry about that.
There you go. You sound louder than me. That's a good thing.
Good. I talk kind of quiet.
That's good. So anyway, I'm Dave White, and I work in the safety department with John. And now I just want to welcome everyone. Folks, a big round of applause for a great breakfast this morning. All right, I'd like to go out to our terminals and visit them and see what's going on there as well. So let's start out east. Let's go to Pittston, Pennsylvania. We have Rick Gifford up there.
Good morning. Ooh, that's a little loud, isn't it? How you guys doing?
We are doing good, Rick, man. I think the weather's starting to straighten out a little bit. It's getting a little, temperatures are starting to rise. I think we're supposed to be in the 60s today, hopefully.
You know, it's about time, to get rid of that S word that we've been dealing with for the last couple of months. We're looking at some 50-degree temperatures today and then through the weekend. And next week, we're looking at high 60s into the 80s next week, which is going to be really nice and sunny. Going to have a great week next week. We had a great week this week, too. So
that's good, man. That's shorts weather. So what's going on up in Pittston?
Hey, you're right on the shorts weather. I had shorts on all week this week, so a little chilly today, so I got the jeans on today. But, hey, it was a great week this week. We had a great orientation class. We had a bunch of guys come in and go through the upgrade process and get in their own trucks, and we're getting people in trucks.
Good deal. Good to hear. If you guys have any questions, comments, make sure you get on the mic. Love to hear from you.
Hey, we surely will. We appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Appreciate you too. Let's go out west. Salt Lake City, Utah. We have Mr. Troy Rich with us.
This is how we wake up in Salt Lake. Just loud and proud, man. Loud and proud.
That's good to hear, man. What's going on out there? How you doing?
We're doing fantastic. It's 32 and beautiful in Salt Lake City right now.
32. What's it supposed to get to today, man? You gonna get 50 maybe?
50, yeah. We're looking at 50. I mean, this will be 2 days in a row with sunshine. I know it's really weird, but we're excited about it. So yeah, we're supposed to hit 50s today and the weekend's in the 60s maybe. So it's coming around. We're finally getting into the spring. So we're go ahead.
Get rid of that snow, man, right? Get rid of it.
We have over 800 inches of snowpack in our mountains right now. So we don't want it to come down too fast. It's going to warm up slowly, hopefully, or we'll be, swimming to work. So,
yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen. But anything going on in Salt Lake this week?
We got a bunch of upgrades again here. We got a bunch of people here training to get their CDLs. We got a good group of people here. Everybody wanting to be a Prime driver. So
that's awesome, man. Keep training them up and let's make the best we can right here, baby. So if you got any questions or concerns, make sure you holler at us, Troy. Appreciate you.
Great. Thank you.
All right. Back here in Springfield. Good morning. There we go. That's a little bit better, John. We stepped up.
I like it. I don't know what happened to Pittston this morning.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're a little bit off. But anyway, I'd like to take this opportunity for all of our new folks in orientation this week. If this is your first week at Prime, if you could stand at all three terminals, Salt Lake, Pittston, and Springfield, you can stand up. We'd love to give you a round of applause. Stand up, guys, gals.
I know this table. Yeah, all of you.
That's okay, man. We know you're new. That's fine. You're good. So, no, appreciate y'all. Welcome to Prime. We've got a pretty large family here. We've got, about 10,000 drivers, would you say, roughly?
Yeah.
Driving associates. And there's no doubt you all make the money for us, you know, picking up on time, delivering on time, and the most important thing, doing it safely. And that's what this is about. So this is our Friday morning meeting. And, you know, if you have questions, concerns, comments, make sure you let us know. But we're glad you're here this week. And, you know, even our veteran drivers, I know we got a number of them out in the crowd too. If you guys have a question, concern, make sure you holler at us. Love to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, I'll feed off of what Dave said. Welcome if this is your first week at Prime, whether you're a new student obtaining your CDL or coming over here, have previous experience. We think you made a great decision. We know you did a lot of research, looked into everything, probably have watched some of these safety meetings before. So thank you very much for being here. You're part of the family now. You got to stay here. Isn't that the rule, Dave? Once you're here?
That is, once you're here, man.
That's what I
You
thought.
can't leave or we'll come after you. That's a comment Robert uses a lot. So yeah, we'll come after you. But no, we want you here and we're glad you're here. And hopefully, just like Johnny said, you know, man, you've done your research and I know we've done ours, and it's quite an experience being a truck driver. There's no doubt. There's some challenges every day, and being out there on the road. Number one's being away from home. And so all of our new folks this week, this is an important week for a lot of people. This is Easter week, you know, Easter Sunday, Good Friday's today, and being away from your family is tough, especially if you got kids. It makes it tough. And but we appreciate your commitment getting into the industry. I think you'll find it very rewarding, and you can make some money in it, no doubt. And if you follow what your trainer says, follow what your fleet manager says, safety, road assist, we will make you some money. There's no doubt. So, but hang in there. It isn't easy. It's not for everybody neither, John, you know?
Absolutely. So we're going to dive right into some numbers here and get going. We've got a lot of great speakers for you today. You know, one thing that we do want to mention is we're a very transparent company. And we mentioned this last week, but you know, when you're here at Prime, your card gets you into any of these doors up here. So when you're here, we encourage you to come visit with your fleet manager, come visit with your log personnel, the safety department. We're up here by leasing. So everybody, it's an open door policy. Feel free to come in. You get a lot of questions from folks coming from other carriers like, you know, can I come in the building? And the answer is absolutely yes. Come see us. We love that. So last week, we're going to talk about our inspections. We had 120 total inspections. 77 of those were clean for a 64% pass rate. So give you guys a round of applause for that. And I do want to mention a couple of items here, and we're going to kind of roll that in to some scores here, some CSA scores. But I went through the inspections this week, as we do every week. Dennis Davis, our director of safety, also looks at them every week. One by one, we go through all of them. So, you know, some of the ones that stuck out in my mind this week, a couple of things, and we're going to talk more about them. One, we had some bypass scale citations in there, or warnings in there, which are not good. Those are pretty heavily weighted CSA points. And then two was speeding. So, you know, a couple of things that we feel like that we can eliminate, and we're going to get into a couple of more here that are kind of our number one offenders here. But, you know, some of this is pretty low hanging fruit. And as a professional driver, you know, we like to think that you go out there and that your attention and focus is on your job every day. And we're paying attention to these details and, you know, paying attention to those signs, paying attention to drive wise. And, you know, in a big truck, speeding is speeding. We don't have that 5 to 10 mile an hour leeway that you might expect to get in a personal vehicle. So those are a couple of the things that we want to pay attention to. And with that, on our unsafe driving metric, on our CSA score, I'm just going to jump in and I'm going to talk about our top 4 offenses that we get here and what percentage they are of our overall score.
Before you jump in there, I'd just like to start out on CSA. What is CSA? It stands for Compliance, Safety, and Accountability, and that's what it comes down to. When you get a roadside inspection out there on the highway, that affects your CSA score as a driver, but it also affects ours. We're all in this together. So if you get stopped out on the road and officer writes you an inspection, that hits your CSA score, that hits ours. That could be a clean inspection, and that's what we're always going for. That's why we report our clean numbers. But if there's a violation, it can go against you and go against us. If you get stopped out there, though, and you get a speeding ticket and there's no inspection, that speeding ticket will not go on your CSA score, but it will go on your CDL. So it's something a little bit different, something to keep in mind. You know, if you don't get a roadside inspection, There's no CSA involved. And I know we get questions on that quite a bit. Hey, did this ticket hit my CSA score? Sometimes it can, sometimes it can't. It just depends. If it's a combination ticket and inspection, you kind of got the double whammy because you got both of them. And those do happen from time to time. But sometimes, you get one, you may not get the other. But yes, I'm gonna let you jump into this unsafe driving, John. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No,
Go
that's
for it.
great information, and I'm glad that you did that. So exactly like Dave was saying, this affects everybody here. So what I do could affect you, and et cetera. So and Steve, I'm sure we'll touch on this a little bit later on with how it affects our customer base. So we're just going to start at the top. So 33% of our total CSA points for unsafe driving metric or traffic control device, fail to obey traffic control device. Now, this could mean we bypass a scale, we bypass a brake station, stop sign, stop light. Any sign out there that we disobey basically falls into this category. Did I miss anything on that?
No, you're right on. And once again, it doesn't have to be a ticket. Sometimes we get drivers saying, hey, I didn't get a ticket. Why is it on my CSS? It doesn't have to be. It can just be a violation. Officers really cutting you a break by not giving you a ticket, but it is going on your CSA scores. Well, yeah, that is one of our top one for unsafe driving. Go ahead.
Okay, number 2. Who wants to guess what number 2 is? Seatbelt. Nailed it. All right. It doesn't get much simpler than putting on your seatbelt, right? It's there for your safety, right? Statistics prove that, man, that's safe to wear your seatbelt.
What percent seatbelt on that?
21% of our total CSA score for unsafe driving is seatbelt violations. So, folks, this is one that we feel like we can eliminate. Anytime that you're in the truck operating your vehicle, make sure that you've got that seatbelt on, please.
And make sure it's on properly. That's another thing. It's got to be going across your chest. It's got to be a little tout, up against your chest. It can't be hanging. You can't have your arm over the strap. You got the one buckled around your waist, but if your arm's over the strap, you're not wearing it properly. Also, too, if you get pulled into a scale, don't take your seatbelt off if you're still moving or you're in your truck. Wait till that officer, if he's going to come out and visit you, wait till he comes out and visits you and say, officer, I got my seatbelt on. He sees it or she sees it, then okay. They'll give you the nod, and then you can take it off. And just so there's no confusion, because we've had that before in the past, and it could be a little confusing there, but keep that seatbelt on until they're out there, or if they have you pull around, once you get out of the truck, make sure they see you got your seatbelt on.
Absolutely. Next, 15% of our total score using a handheld device. So, we've seen a couple of these here in the last few weeks, and, these are very dangerous, very scary situation if your attention's not on the task at hand on the road in front of you driving down the road. So we've had a couple where, maybe you're not holding it in your hand, you've got it mounted on your dash and something's on up there. It's a distraction. We don't want to do it. Whenever you're going down the road, put that seatbelt or put that cell phone in a backpack in the back, somewhere where it's not tempting. If you have to pull over or if you have to do something with directions, pull over into a safe spot, stop, then get the phone out. We hear that a lot. I just went to check directions, something messed up. And folks, statistically speaking, I don't think that there's that many police officers out there that are that lucky to just catch you in that 5 seconds that you had that phone in your hand, right? So make sure that we're not letting that be a distraction out there.
Or that cell phone moved and I was moving it, it fell out of its holder. Anytime you touch that, they're going to think you're on it. Even if you're just moving it from one side to another, or you're putting it in the back, that's all part of a distraction. And that's what they're trying to eliminate, distracted driving. And then I'm just going to throw on real quick. If, we do allow the one touch on your cell phone. If you want to take that call, you can. But you remember, that's a distraction too, that conversation. That's cognitive distraction. And you can, that's not safe driving. So keep those conversations to a minimum, and FMCSA allows you to use the one touch and you can talk on your cell phone, but we want you to limit that conversation. You've got a long conversation with your wife or your girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever it may be, limit that till you get parked and then have that conversation. Tell them you can call them back in a little bit once you get safely parked, get to a rest area, your truck stop, and then you can have that. So
absolutely. So our last one that we're going to talk about is speeding. So speeding specifically 6 to 10 miles per hour over the posted speed limit, and that's 13% of our total score. So, really pay attention. There's a lot of areas out there where you could go from 65 to 55 to 45. So we need to really be paying attention to these decreases in the speed limit, paying attention to the signs around us, and making sure that we're going the posted speed limit. So
There you
You got
go.
anything to add on the speeding part of it?
That's it. Yeah, just watch those signs, man, because they're sitting for you. You know, we know our trucks are set at 62 for company, 65 for lease. So our speeding really isn't out on the interstates unless there's construction. You know, if the speed changes, you got to be that speed limit when you hit that change. So whatever the speed limit sign says, you need to be going there. Buddy, what's up?
Hey, you want to let them know at least what that fine costs when they get caught with these phones in their hand? Because it's not cheap.
It can be anywhere, you know, $300, $400, $500, all the way up to over $1,000. It can be very expensive for cell phone violations. So
He's pointing higher.
yeah, don't go there. And every state's a little bit different. That's what we don't know. We just can't give you a one figure, and that applies to everybody. Every state has their own rate. So, and I can tell you, our number one state where we get hit the most is Georgia. Georgia's pretty good at watching our drivers and watching truck drivers in general, because we're part of CVSA, and that gets brought up from time to time. And you know, Georgia does a very good job at looking at drivers, overpasses, things like that with binoculars. You didn't even go that far. So, but it's part of the enforcement side. So, you know, got to do the right thing.
Absolutely. So we wanted to bring these to everybody's attention. You know, we want you to focus on them. We need your help, right? We need to get better in these areas. We want to clean this up. We want to show everybody that we're the safest carrier out there and that we're out there doing the right thing. So also, I'll feed off of that. On your Prime app yesterday, we sent out our weekly safety staple, and we put these statistics out there specifically that we just talked about. So if you have any questions or you want to reference them again, go to the Prime app, and it's under the weekly safety staple this week.
We want to talk about our score for unsafe driving? 78. Yeah. So our score underneath unsafe driving for FMCSA is a 78. Intervention is 65. So we got some work to do, and we need your help to get that work done. You're the ones that make it happen out there on the road. So when you're out there, be thinking, man, how do I stay out of getting called into these scales? How do I stay out of being stopped and being checked? One thing is getting these CSA numbers back under intervention. So we need to get them back under 65. That's what we need to work on. And we as a whole, as a company, it's just not drivers only or in-house. It's all of us. We're all in this game together, and we got to get there. And it's a compliance tool. There's no doubt. And that's what they use. That's what they use to figure out, do I want to inspect Prime or don't I want to inspect Prime? And not only that, Steve Woodkey, he'll be up here in a little bit. He'll talk about on the customer side, what they're looking at as well. So keep that in mind, man. It just makes our lives as a whole, as a company, a lot better when we can get these numbers under the intervention. And the intervention is 65 on that. So want to jump to hours of service real quick, and we can kind of scatter through this?
Sure, go for it.
All right, so our hours of service, we're to 77. Once again, that's a 65. Number one violation, improper use of personal conveyance or false record of duty stats. That's what enforcement will write you up under, is false record of duty stats, because if you're not using personal conveyance properly, you know, that's an issue. So here in a little bit, we're going to have Brennan from our log department. She'll be up here. She'll be able to discuss and dive into that deeper. So we're not going to take any of her thunder. We'll let her discuss that. But, you know, big thing about hours of service, and years ago when we were on paper, nobody wanted to notate what they were doing. You didn't want to really put too much information down on your paper logs because enforcement season, that asks for more questions. Well, now that we're on electronic logs, I think it's very important you notate everything you do. If you do a pre-trip, just put down underneath there in the notation section, pre-trip. If it's 15 minutes or 18 minutes or 20 minutes, it's your pre-trip. Same thing with your post-trip. Same thing when you're, if you encounter inclement weather when you're out on the road and you're using the emergency exemption, put down inclement weather, or came upon a crash on I-70. This is why I'm using this emergency exemption for 2 hours. You got to be less than 2 hours on that emergency exemption. But it's important you notate that information, because the more information you give the officer, the more information, then they don't have to ask you, and then it doesn't fall underneath the violation. If you don't put anything down there, they can write you for a violation, and they do. So we need to just clear that up, make sure you notate what you're doing when you stop. If it's pre-trip, if it's fueling, if whatever, if it's a load securement, if you're securing your load, your flatbedder, put that down. You're showing the officer what you're doing. A lot less questions get asked when you start putting out information. If you don't, then they start asking you questions, and then they're trying to figure out, number one, is this a false log? Are you falsifying something? Or why aren't you putting it down? And it starts asking more questions. Electronic logs opened that whole section up on notations. So I think we do a better job on that, we'll have less issues on that. So
I'm not gonna lie, I forgot my sheet, so I'm just gonna
Oh, that's
save you the
okay.
trouble of asking. you for the
Medical
rest
on
of them.
file, we're sitting at a 53%, interventions 80, so we're doing better getting our medicals on file, but let's make sure when you get your DOT physical, you get your medical card sent into the state. That's important. They need to update it. And because once again, if they suspend your license and we gotta shut you down, that leads to very little productivity. Then when you're sitting on the side of the road, we got to wait and get your medical updated with the state. So controlled substance, 5% for fine there. Maintenance, we're doing very good, 32%. Intervention against 80 there. So no issues there. Hazmat, we're at 72%. Intervention's 80 for us. We're doing pretty good on hazmat. We're getting better. If you haul hazardous material load, just a couple words of advice. Make sure you got your shipping papers accessible. They have to be within reach. The emergency response guidebook also within reach in the door pocket or up on your dash. I prefer you put it in your door pocket because then it's not going to move around with your bills of lading. Keep everything in that door pocket, then you have it accessible right there if you get asked. Placarding too, make sure those placards are on. Use that clear duct tape around them. When they're stuck on the side of the trailer, even when you put them in the placard holders, sometimes they'll still come out. So make sure you secure those placards in. And then our crash, probably the most important, we're at 64, interventions at 65. So we're below in crash. And that's just our DOT recordable accidents. And by far the vast majority of those are non-preventable. So we do pretty well. So Jamie, what do you got for me?
To add to the hazmat too, always with your bill of lading, make sure you have the paper that's on top as the one that has the hazmat on it.
Good point. Yeah, so if you've got multiple drops, a hazmat bill needs to be up on top, even though it may not be your next drop. It needs to be up on top or it needs to be tabbed, showing that it is a hazardous material bill because they can write you for a violation on that. So we are getting better in those areas. We'll keep improving and let's keep going that direction.
We need to get some speakers up here.
I know,
We've
man,
been
we
up
just
here
keep
too long.
chatting.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's bring a couple of gals up here that'll wake the room back up after listening to us talk for so long. So we're going to bring up Haley and Chelsea from our leasing department. They haven't been up here in a couple of weeks. So Haley and Chelsea, welcome.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, spooked you.
Good morning, Prime family. My name's Haley. I work in Success Leasing.
I'm Chelsea.
Also works in Success Leasing. We are quickly going to just chat about ordered trucks and the process. I know this is something we talk about a lot up here, but it is a big benefit with Leasing with Success. It's a wonderful program that we have. We've had a lot of operators calling in lately, just curious how they even start the ordered truck process. You do have to be leasing with us for 3 months in order to order your truck or order your first truck. In order to do that, you just simply go to the website, successleasing.com. On the top right-hand side, it says new ordered trucks. You guys are more than welcome to look at that at any time, even if you're in training and you are not leasing yet. Feel free to get online. You can choose the manufacturer. We order Peterbilts and Freightliners to be able to customize. Feel free to go through that order form and then kind of pick your color, and you can pick your extras. With extras, if you have been leasing with us for over a year, per your dispatcher's approval, we can run that through your settlement. If you haven't been leasing with us for a year, we will have to have that extra money paid up front. And then really quickly, lease purchase program is up and running and in full force. It is going great. We have a lot of lease purchase trucks. Again, you do have to be leasing for 3 months for that as well. But you can do a lease purchase right after the 3 months of Leasing with Success. Same thing, you order it on the website. It is $14,000 down in order to do a lease purchase, but you get $1,000 off that down payment for every year you've been Leasing with Success up to 6 years. So the lowest the down payment can be is $8,000. We do require $5,000 out of that to be paid up front in order to place the order. So once we have your funds, any sort of certified check, money order, e-fund, anything like that, Chelsea will then take over from there and place the order with the manufacturer.
Yes, so when you place an order, that comes through to me. I will be the one that reviews your order, and then I will send an email back to you, basically going over what I need. So if I need the $5,000, if it's a lease purchase, or if I need the funds for your extras, I will be sending that to you via email. And then about 3 to 4 weeks later, once I've placed your order, I will also, once I get the funds, then I'll place your order. At that time, I'll send the confirmation email. That comes first. Then about 3 to 4 weeks after I have confirmed that I've placed your order, I will get the VIN number from the manufacturer and I will email that to you as well. And then about 30 days out from the estimated month that we had planned for delivery of your ordered truck, we will be calling you to kind of just give you an update of what we're seeing, if your truck has left the factory or where it is at in the process. And then once your truck delivers, we will call you as well to set up a pickup appointment with you. I was going to give you all an update that right now for Freightliners, I am placing orders for August delivery, but I'm about full for August. So I'm probably going to be moving to September deliveries here pretty quick. Peterbilt, I'm still placing orders for August delivery right now. So the only thing I was just going to say is please watch your email because that is the primary source that I use to give you all the information you need with your truck order. So just keep an eye on that if you have placed a new truck order.
Your VINs come through email, everything's through email. Yeah. Also, really quickly, pickup times, appointments are extremely important, guys. So once your truck does get delivered to the yard, we will call you that day. So first it will go to the manufacturer, then it will go to Stripes and stuff, and then Stripes delivers it to us. We will call you that day. And we really, really emphasize a pickup day at least. We would love a time, but this helps us coordinate with the shops of what trucks to have ready for you. We never want you guys to get here and your truck not to be ready. We also have to prioritize our open trucks for trainees and people coming in for trucks. So we've got to get with the shops and make sure we're working each truck at the right time. So we do try to have the trucks rolling once they get delivered within 2 weeks, but please just communicate with us. Let us know what's going on with that. Yes.
2 questions.
Yes, sir.
First question, can you lease purchase more than 1 truck?
As of right now, we're still ordering 1 truck for the year. If you already have lease purchases and you've already ordered another one for 2023, then yes, you absolutely can. We just aren't ordering more trucks right now.
And then the other question is on the Peterbilt, are you going to do the option of a different motor other than just a PACCAR motor?
No.
Okay.
Last thing I want to say is, I know John's getting me off the stage. Do not, I know, I'm sorry. Do not, Daryl would be upset if I didn't say this. So do not forget about your 59 days, okay? Retention and rewards, everything goes off of that. So if you take a break in service, you turn your truck in, you go home, whatever, you are not under a lease, guys, you have 59 days to come back to leasing and to have a contract signed so that your longevity and your benefits all stays the same. We never want to see that happen because you didn't get into a truck within 60 days. So please communicate with us, okay? Anything?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. How about a round of applause here? Oh, we may have one more question here.
One question maybe. We're making Bill run.
When will be, excuse me, when do you expect that we'll be allowed to order multiple trucks again?
Probably closer to 2024. So right now once we opened the lease purchase program up, again, the floodgates were very open and everybody ordered. We just don't have the capacity right now in order to order more. Hopefully things continue to get better in the truck world and we can order more and see you guys grow those little fleets.
All right, thank you both.
All right, thank you.
So
Awesome.
Haley and Chelsea are both going to probably stick around over here. If you do have any other questions or think of anything, come see them after the meeting or during the meeting here, and they'll be happy to answer that. So who do we got next today?
We dug in pretty hard on hours of service a little bit, talking about CSA. So let's bring Brennan up here from our log department. Great to have her this morning. So welcome, Brennan.
Good morning. All right, so we'll go ahead and talk about PC first. Personal conveyance is a really, really big focus for DOT right now. We saw that trend in 2022. I know I mentioned the numbers several times already this year during these meetings, but we saw a 286% increase in field inspections for PC alone between January and December of last year. That has significantly impacted our CSA score. So it's very important that you're using personal conveyance legally, always. So personal conveyance is mainly used when you're leaving a customer and you're going to the closest safe place to find safe parking, or if you're asked to move by an officer and you're relocating to the closest safe place. And it's very important that you're going to the closest safe place. We're talking the closest safe place within radius and a designated parking space. Parking on the side of the road or on an exit ramp is absolutely never going to be an option. We want you safe, we want the load safe, we want the truck and trailer safe. Now, Dave also touched base on those annotations. Annotations are so incredibly important on ELD. This adds context for DOT as to what's going on. So when you're using personal conveyance, you need to make sure that you're explaining why you're using personal conveyance. And you might have noticed within the last few weeks that pre-selectable personal conveyance remark has been removed. And the reason for that is we've seen drivers ticketed for using personal conveyance and their only remark is personal conveyance. It doesn't add any context. And unfortunately, anything within your last 8 days is fair game for DOT. If an officer were to ask why you're using personal conveyance and you can't remember, you can't tell them why, that puts you in a really difficult position. All right. So use one of the other pre-selectable options, or you could just tap your finger in the box and type out a custom remark to explain what's going on. Please keep in mind, personal conveyance is not meant for any long distances or anything work related. So if you are going to fuel, wash out, the shop, customers, returning to customers, advancing the load, going to pick up or drop a trailer, pick up or drop a co-driver, or even arriving at the terminal, whether it's Springfield, Salt Lake, Pittston, or a prime facility, you have to show drive for that initial movement to get here because we are a hub of business. You're likely completing some sort of work when you arrive. Now, the last thing I want to touch base on, the elephant in the room, is what happened with OmniTrax yesterday. So they had a messaging delay on the OmniTrax end starting early afternoon through yesterday evening. And what this means is any duty status changes or edits that you are making on your end, we're not updating to OmniTrax in the host. Now, the Prime app pulls all of your log information from the OmniTrax host. So that's why you are receiving automated messages stating that you're still showing drive, but the truck is stopped. In this case, the Prime app was not correct. It was delayed, just like OmniTrax. So in this case, the Qualcomm unit was absolutely correct. What made this very difficult is most of the phone calls we receive are drivers requesting edits to their logs. There was at least, at minimum, a 1 to 2 hour delay. So we could not see any of your current logs for the last 1 to 2 hours. Now we get through it like we always do. We got through it yesterday. We're always happy to talk you through how to make adjustments to your logs. That's how most of our phone calls went. We're always happy to walk you through that process. And then it makes you on your end a little more self-sufficient, right? If you're able to make changes, it saves you from having to make that phone call during the day, overnight, saves you a lot of time. So anytime there's an outage like we experienced yesterday, of course, feel free to call in if you haven't received a fleet message from IT or your fleet manager alerting you to what's going on, and we'll always be happy to assist however we can. Do we have any questions?
Any questions for, oh, got one back there in the back.
Thank you. Hey, Brennan, some of the Qualcomms and a few of our trucks have received a firmware update. And with that update, if we take a break for more than 2 hours, we're automatically put into sleeper berth. Is there a way to disable that automatic split break in case we want to use it later in our workday?
So I have kind of a tricky response for you. With the most recent OmniTrax firmware update, there were a lot of problems with that on the OmniTrax end. It was causing a lot of positioning errors in your hours of service for quite a few of our units. So the fix for that was sending out a new firmware update that was going to correct the positioning issues. So half the fleet is on a firmware version where they do not have to check will pair SB. It automatically registers any break you have that's at least 2 hours as a part of a split break. Another portion of the fleet is on the new firmware version, which requires you to check mark will pair SB in order to recognize 2 hours plus and a break as a part of a split. Unfortunately, if we were to send out a fleet-wide message saying, hey, some of you are on this version, the others are not, it would cause mass confusion. So what I'd recommend is pay attention to your unit. Whenever you start your shift, keep in mind when your original 14-hour clock is set to expire. If you do take a 2-hour break at some point during your shift and you notice it is or is not pausing, and you have questions about what your unit's doing, give us a call and we can take a look and confirm which firmware version you have and exactly what is going on. Of course, if you are confused and you're not sure about it and you don't contact logs, it's difficult for us to assist in this case. But keeping in mind the original time your 14-hour clock is set to expire is going to be key. If you are not wanting to utilize a split break, always make sure to come to a stop before that original 14-hour clock is set to expire. If you do utilize the time you get back from that pause, that 2-hour plus break, make sure to log at least 7 or 8 hours in the sleeper berth when you shut down. That way you're in compliance with the split and you won't register a violation.
I appreciate that, and I understand that. I already logged my 14-hour clock once I start driving, but you may or may not remember, I had the issue the other day where I took a break, not realizing I was on a split break because I intended to use my split later. So in that situation, is there a way to negate the automatic split break and start it later when I need it?
So we have reached out to Omnitrax and we have asked for confirmation as to whether or not the original firmware update was supposed to set it up to automatically register a split or not. We have not received that confirmation from Omnitrax yet. As soon as we have confirmation, Mark, feel free to call in anytime. If you want to check up on it and see if we've received any updates, feel free to call me anytime and I'll be transparent with you.
All right. Any other questions for Brennan? One more. Go ahead, buddy.
The way Omnitrax is going, are we bound to crash again like they did before? Because this is the way it looks like, as much trouble as we've gotten with them. It looks like it's going to cause us a lot more problems. Are they going to finally get something figured out, or are we going to have to get ready to go back to the good old logbooks?
So legally, we can't go back to paper logging due to the ELD mandate. But when it comes to Omnitrax, trust me, we know you're frustrated and we are equally, if not more, frustrated with the way Omnitrax is operating. So we are looking into all of our options in terms of another provider.
All right. Brendan will be around here after the meeting too. If you guys want to talk to her, excellent information. Man, I learned a lot right there.
It's a lot of
called
information.
annotations, John, not notations. Why are you saying notations? I thought that was you.
I didn't want to embarrass you.
Okay,
Dave.
that's it, man. Go ahead. Who's our next speaker?
All right, so we're going to bring up Matt Rachel. He's going to talk about our PSC class. Matt has not talked over here in a while. We had to give him directions on how to get back to the main terminal here from the campus over there. So welcome, Matt.
Well, thank you. I Googled it. Good morning, everybody. So how many have been here 10 years or more? So you're very familiar with a class called the Smith system. Good. And if you've been here less than 10 years, you're probably familiar with a class called the PSC system. And if you just started this week, you will be very quickly realize that we like acronyms. And so the PSC class stands for Prime Safety Certified. And really the objective of that class, and I committed to be brief, and I know we're running out of time a little bit, so I won't take a lot of your time. But really the first 20 minutes of what Dave and John talked about is really what the PSC class introduces or reintroduces. You know, we have no intentions of reinventing the wheel, but we're very interested in your safety. We fully recognize without customers and drivers, we really don't have a company, but we want to do that safely. And so what does the PSC focus on? Speed management, lane control, space, distracted driving, hills, how to manage a mountain, adverse weather, those sort of things. So all of those things that Dave and John talked about that we need to do daily, we fully recognize that, good people can make a mistake. and our objective is to correct those. So folks, open invitation. We teach this class 7 days a week here in Springfield at the Campus Inn. It starts at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that's, again, 7 days a week. We have a second class that's offered on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 1 o'clock. We offer this in Pittston, Pennsylvania, 5 days a week, and also in Salt Lake City 5 days a week during the work week. So if you want some refreshing, come on in. You know, we have some driving simulators, and I'm confident that everyone in this room has probably driven one of those, but if you haven't, come on over. I want to show you what those are all about and keep you being safe. We appreciate what you do. Any questions for me?
All right, no questions for Matt. All right,
Nothing at all.
thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Have a great day.
Thanks. Appreciate you coming, Matt. Thank you.
Looks
Great
like Matt
having him
said-
over, man. That's awesome.
Yeah,
information.
absolutely. So, you know, again, our wish is that everybody takes that class once a year. So if you know you're coming into a terminal to get a truck repair done or whatever the case may be, time off, you know, reach out, get with your fleet manager, get yourself on the schedule if you haven't had it in the last, 9 to 12 months, and get in here for that refresher course. So we think it's a great class to take.
Is there any pay on that, John, for doing that?
There is. What do you want to pay him for that?
Let's do $100, man.
$100? Sounds
No
good.
doubt. So, yeah. So you get
All right.
$100 for taking that class. So make sure you get that once a year. That's good information, just refresher. And simulators are pretty cool. I've driven it, and so have you, and we've had that experience, and you learn a lot on them. So
Absolutely. Who do we have next here?
let's get Doug Tam from Road Assist up here. Doug has some new information coming.
New, sad information, but I think we will survive. You know, we do have a change at the helm for our Freightliner on-site rep. You know, Jeff Moore is going to go on to, bigger, greener pastures. We have Dennis Cantrell who's going to be taking over his role. So I know we've all gotten to love Jeff Wara. He's looking at making some changes and stuff. I'll let Jeff kind of, speak on his own part, but here's Jeff and Dennis.
So yes, today is my last day here. I'll be moving on. Just a little quick history. Over 30 years ago, I actually came to Prime and I started working here. I rolled in my little Popular Mechanics toolbox from Walmart, hardly any tools. I was here about a week and a half. They said, okay, you're working midnights, fix these reefers. So that's how I started. Moved on from here for family reasons and come back 11 years ago. Yesterday, I came back here. And the thing is, I know when I came here, God led me here. One thing I love to do is help people, not only the drivers to help Prime to keep things going, but personally with people. It's true that it's a family. We're a family here. I mean, we've had our moments, we have had our little spats like siblings do. We supported each other in tragedies, good times and stuff like that. But the reason for that is because everybody cares, I work for Freightliner and we're vendors, but we're partners and we care about you. And I pray that one of my goals was always when I came here, that when I left, I would leave things better than when I got here. And I hope and I believe that's what happened. So, I mean, I will miss working here. God has led me to go do something else. But anybody that has my number, my contact, don't ever hesitate to call me, text me, whatever you need. I have no problem helping you out. And I know this is going to keep moving forward with Mr. Dennis Cantrell taking my spot. So I'm going to just let him say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. I guess a little history about me is I've been with the Freightliner dealership here for about 8 years now. Believe it or not, I started off being a janitor for the shop. A few years into that, I got a CDL and got into the service office about 2 years ago, being a service advisor, talking to a bunch of you nice folks when you come in for some breakdown. And I'm looking forward to working with you all here in the future.
Thank you. Let's give a round of applause for Jeff Wara, and Dennis. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you. So,
No doubt, we're going to miss Jeff. Jeff was our anchor over there in Freightliner.
absolutely, I've leaned
Well,
on
we
Jeff
got
a lot of
Dennis coming
times.
in. Dennis has got some experience. I think this is going to be a good transition. So we'll see what happens. Sorry for cutting you off.
Oh, no,
I'm
you're
good at
fine.
that, you
You're
know?
fine. You're fine. So we've had a lot of great speakers this morning, and we get some requests sometimes, hey, so-and-so hasn't spoken in a while, but it's very rare that we get a back by popular demand type of speaker. but that's exactly what we've got for you this morning. So we're going to bring up Mr. Paul Higgins here for just a second. Paul, good morning. How are you doing?
We're chit-chatting in the background there. Hey, thanks, John. I really appreciate you. And John said, hey, man, can you come back? Because I think people really enjoy when you speak. And I said, that's cool because, I want to be informative. And he says, you got to cut it down to an hour and a half, though. So I said, okay, that's fine. So we'll have you out of here by 10:15 if that's okay with you guys. That was a joke. That was a joke. Okay, so last week, I said, I'm trying to give everybody some pointers. And I don't really monitor Facebook. So, I've got kids. They tell me what I need to know. But I found out that a lot of truckers are really into Facebook because apparently there's some scathing comments about what I said last week. So I want to address it. And so here's a couple of things for you. So I always say this. Well, you know what? We have these meetings all the time, and you get people up here, and we do our best to tell you what's going on, to keep you informed. And if we got some pointers, we want to do that. I appreciate that whole personal conveyance thing, and I know that's a little bit of a hotbed on why we can use it, why we can't. And I was really interested also, this little shameless plug here for our violations. And I wanted to know, I like when you guys said, here's our top violations and what we're doing wrong. And I thought, dang, we miss scales? What? I mean, what are we doing? I mean, we're hanging on the steering wheel. We need to kind of figure out where those are, and we get warnings and all that. So I'm going to find out a bit more about that after the meeting. But still, what I do like is, hey, we just throw it out there. And we say, here's what we need to learn. Here's what we can improve on. So I want to talk again about weights because I think it's an awesome opportunity. And so the first little shameless plug is this. If everybody could get this, because there's lots of comments already on that Facebook. So I'm back to the Facebook thing. If you've not yet looked on your Prime mobile app, that wasn't that nice a phone anyway. If you've not yet looked on your Prime mobile app, you can navigate on the driver's side through, I think it's called training, and then there's some videos. And this video that I'd like you to look at is the 7th one down. So you kind of got to toggle down. I think the videos start with don't worry, Dennis, it's fine. It starts off with a winter driving one is the first one. And so I just counted down to this one. It says something like axle weight measurements. Okay, and so what I'd like you to do, I think it's 13 minutes. We recorded it just this last fall to help people out. But basically what it says is this. It says, look, it just says round your weights. Don't get all excited about kind of the last 3 numbers, okay? And this is just a general overview of it. So don't hold me to this yet. Don't start typing on your Facebook account yet. But here's really the idea. I want everyone to understand that we can haul 80,000 pounds. 80,000 is the truck, trailer, fuel, and the load. So, and I'm going to talk to you reefer people for a second here, okay? So let's go back for a second. Watch the video first. It's 13 minutes. If those of you who have these yellow vests on, you've not gone out with trainers yet, but that'll give you a really good start on how weights work. And it's super easy. I think we way overcomplicate things. But the bottom line is this. You got to have at least 12,000 on your steer axles. I see a lot of tickets. Well, actually, our citations people show me the tickets whenever we get overweight tickets, and it breaks my heart because I think to myself, doggone it, clearly this person was not really even paying attention. And that's really what happens. Because here's the deal. For those of you who are really worried and you're trying to, maybe I'm going to catch Higgins saying something wrong. Here's the deal. We don't get tickets. We don't get tickets for 200 or 300 pounds overweight. Doesn't happen. I've not seen them. I've been here for almost 42 years. So I make it about another 3 weeks. It'll be 42 years. I've got some pretty good experience in these ticket things. I kind of know how the weights work. Actually, I really know how the weights work. Okay. That's why I want to be the one to help you all. So the 200 or 300 pounds isn't one of our problems. Here's what our problems are. 2,000 or 3,000 pounds over. Okay. You guys can do this if you want to. Those of you guys who really know what you're talking about, do this. If you don't know what you're doing, just keep the blank look on your face. Here's the problem. We're not really paying attention, okay? Don't worry about the 200 or 300. Worry about the 2,000 or 3,000. Look at your gauges, okay? And I'm going to wrap it up here, Dennis, because I know we got other things to talk about. But here's just a few tips. Everyone on the reefer division, you can haul 45,000 pounds, no problem. No problem at all, okay? We can do it. We can get it axled out. It'll be fine. The number 2 tip, make sure your steer axle weighs 12,000 pounds or maybe a little bit more. I like 12 to 12.5, okay? Now, we've got scales in all of our locations. In Salt Lake, we've got an indoor scale. In Pittston, we've got an indoor scale. In Springfield, we've got 2, okay? So you can go into bay 3 or 5. If it was me, I'd go through those bays every time I go outbound. And I just roll across the scale and I'd find out kind of what's going on, make sure everything's good. And man, I got a free pass, right? I don't have to go to a cat scale. I don't have to even wonder about my weights. But bay 3 or 5. The other thing is this, then. Here's the one that's caused a little bit of an uproar. Man, if you can get 34,000 pounds on your drive axles, 34,000, life's going to be good. You really got not much to worry about. Okay, but let's back up and say, get 12,000 on your steers for starters, and then you don't ever have to adjust your 5th wheel again. Okay, slide your 5th wheel forward until you got 12 to 12.5 on your steers. Okay, then it'll be rusty when you turn your truck in. Really? Because you don't slide that one. You don't slide your 5th wheel. Okay, I mean, it's possible we may have to. It's almost never. Okay, now the other part, here's the real deal. I want you to remember every hole. And by the way, we've got length laws for your trailer tandems. Okay, so there's states you go through where you got to have them kind of short. Some places say you can't be too long, but there's a decal on the side of the trailer. It tells exactly what's going on. So every hole that you slide on your trailer is about 250 pounds. How's that for some money? Easy math. The holes are 6 inches apart. If you need to slide 1,000 pounds, go 4 holes, right? Does that make sense? Now I want to back up for just a second. If you've got 34,000, if you can set your trailer axles in the right length for whatever state you're going to be going through, the shortest state you're going to go through is what the decal says, and you can get 34,000 on your drives, it's all good. I really want to promote you guys that Robert has paid for. You know, I order the trailers. We spec them with right way gauges. It's just a dumb gauge. It's a pressure gauge. And it converts the air pressure in your airbags, or air springs really, converts that air pressure to pounds, okay, to weight for you. So most drivers, if you ask drivers, if we'd had a show of hands in here, do you trust the trailer gauges? People go, no, not sure. Let me tell you this, 98% of them are right. Stop being the person that doesn't trust anything. I mean, I know that's kind of our nature, right? Especially guys, I think. We're like, I'm not sure. I didn't test it. I'm going to go to cat scale. I'm going to spend $15. You don't need to do that. So again, as I continue to close, everyone can haul 45. Make sure you got 12,000 pounds on your steers. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say, get your foot off the brakes. We have this a lot. When people pull onto a scale, they either pull the tractor brake or they pull the trailer brake or they leave their foot on the brake. None of that is correct. Okay? No one builds a scale on a hill. Your truck's not going to roll away. Everyone, even I'm smart enough to know, build a scale on level ground. Your truck's not going to roll away. Stay off your foot brake. Don't set the tractor brake. Don't set the trailer brake. Your gauges will be correct. Does that make sense? Okay, here's the last thing. I'm available all the time. I've also said, I gotta throw this in too. Don't bother our shippers. If you load and you leave, or even if you load and you have a question about your weight, you don't think it's right, call your fleet manager first, okay? In the times when we've had to get involved, and I've kept track of the last 24 times, 23 of the 24 times we didn't have to go back to our shippers and have them do anything. Now our drivers or our fleet managers thought we did, but we really didn't. So 23 out of 24 is not perfect, but it's pretty good. So here's what I want to do. I want us to make us the trucking company of choice where the shippers say, man, Prime's so easy to work with. It's crazy. So get in touch with your fleet manager. Let's call and talk about it before you go back. I got like 10 seconds to answer any questions. If you guys, anybody got a hand up? Go ahead and yell it and I'll repeat it.
Pull on the scale, not that you put on the brake. Go pull a tanker that's loaded and you have no.
Okay, I always like to repeat the questions because people who aren't on the microphones can't hear it. So the question, and young man's got a great point. He goes, pull a tanker. If you pull on the scale, the slosh is going to keep the truck moving. Now here's what I like that. We need more tanker drivers, by the way. It's a license to steal, isn't it? I mean, you just drive. You don't have to load or unload. It's pretty good. Okay, anyway, so when you pull onto a scale, if you're tanking, you got some slosh going on, what's the scale gonna do? Right. Now you gotta stop the truck, right? But there's a certain place, and this is exactly what I was talking about before, so thanks. No one's gonna care. The scale operator is gonna look there and say, oh man, that's gonna bounce 500 pounds heavy and 500 pounds light. And you're gonna sit there for a long time before it ever finally settles down and you could get a great weight. So let's not worry about those things, is what I say, right? Okay, same way on the reefer side. Any other questions?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it afterwards. If one more?
So you saying when we're loaded heavy, not to go back to the shipper? They're obligated to load our stuff legal. So how are we supposed to get it fixed? Dispatch sits here or Pittston or Salt Lake City, or at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get some dispatcher that just started 2 days ago that's never seen a truck. So you're saying not to go back to the shipper with a CAT scale, which has been operating procedure for 40 plus years. And now you're saying not to do that. Can you be more specific on how we're going to fix it?
Yeah, absolutely, Chad. Good question. So procedure has not been to go get a CAT scale and those things that I know of. I've not seen that. Now, maybe that's what's happened. But I'm a huge advocate of we don't need CAT scales. And so we can kind of talk about that also if we want to. So when a customer loads you, and let's say when you said loaded heavy, I'm not sure what you mean, if you're overweight on an axle or over gross, but either way, both. Okay, good. So either way, here's what I say. Let's go back to my original statement, and that is call us, which you do, and let's talk about that, because our people in the office should have gone through this weight class. I kind of teach them all a weight class, just like the video, I keep touting that video. But I want to make sure, think about this. If somebody comes and they ask you a question and you're like, man, they should have figured that out. That's what our shippers are thinking. So I'm saying, let's not just go right back to them until we make dang sure that we got this just right. Is that okay? I would never say, let's go out, obscenely overweight. I'd never say that, right? That'd be crazy. I don't want you to get a ticket. I don't want anyone to. I'm telling you my experience of what I've seen for tickets, what I don't see for tickets, and how we can solve a lot of problems without involving the shippers. Does that make sense?
So can I give you some more story on that? I won't throw the customer out there, but there are plenty of times we got our protein shippers, we got other places we drop and hook. You show up, we cut up the trailer, and you're overweight. You could be over axle if you're going to California, or you could be over gross. They're not going to take our right way information. They need that hard copy so they can give it to their people. You go back in there, they rework it or take the product off, they get you legal, and then you go down the road.
Was that a question or a statement?
Yeah, so you're saying we don't need to do that. That's where a lot of drivers got upset on Facebook. And you say it's not operating procedure. We've used some type of a scale ticket, whether it be CAT or Interstate or any other brand out there. So you're saying you're not a fan of them, but you're not. So
correct. I'm not a fan of that. Man, I'm sorry, John. I'll be real quick.
It's all right.
I think we spend a fortune at CAT. Now, I'm agreeing with you that shippers want to see that ticket and that they don't want to believe our system. Now, here's where I think we can help ourselves. We know, and I'm not saying our drivers don't know what they're doing. I'm saying let's just double or triple check first. The last thing I really want to do is I want to ask a customer to take product off a trailer if we could have hauled it, right? What a tragedy that is. But here's what I think. If you do have to go to a CAT scale, what we need to do is we need to have a conversation with the customer. And we say, hey man, Chad's been around here for 11 years. I can't remember, 12, maybe 7. Okay. So, but he knows what he's doing, and it's 30 miles to the CAT scale. So we'll go do that. But it's 30 miles over there. The rate's whatever, $2.50 a mile. So we're going to have to charge you for that. And then the scale ticket's $15, and we're going to come back. If that's the case, then our marketing and salespeople need to get involved in that. Because, the scale's never in the right direction, is it? But all of those things kind of come into play. Let's do those kind of things first instead of just rolling over and going to CAT all the time.
So yeah, and I'm going to hop in and just add to that, and we're going to move on. If anybody has any questions, Paul will stick around. And Paul, you may just want to clear your Friday schedule for the foreseeable future, right? So Chad, to your question there, if you go in, and I think what Paul's really trying to get at, and I'm going to wrap this up pretty quick, is we need to do everything we can do before we go back into that customer. I had a call the other day from a driver that had been here for as many years, if not longer than you. And we talked through an issue on a weight going out to California. And, you know, he's coming from Tennessee area over there. And he's a little bit off on his weights, and we were talking about having to go back in there. Well, you know, we hadn't thought about APU weight exemption for the states getting out there, and we hadn't talked that he just put on 700 pounds of fuel in his tractor. All right. So between those two things there, he's like, man, I'm good to go. And that's what Paul really means. You know, I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but let's make phone calls. Let's ask questions. Let's do everything we can do before we go back in there and say, hey, I need to rework. So, and then some customers, yes, you will absolutely have to get that CAT scale ticket and go back in there and say, hey, I've tried everything and this is what we need to do. So
all good information. So let's move on. Let's talk about our veterans. Many of us today are wearing red. Red means remember everyone deployed. So all our military people are overseas protecting this great nation. And by the way, if you want a t-shirt that says that as well, we sell them down here in the company store, all 3 terminals. So stop on down there and get one. But, you know, let's remember this time during the holidays of our veterans and all of our military personnel serving overseas. And if you've served in the military and you're here present this morning, all 3 terminals, if you could please stand, love to give you a round of applause. Ready to bring in the heavy hitter?
Let's bring him up.
Let's do it, man. Let's bring up Steve Woodkey, our Vice President of Sales. Great to have you this morning, Steve.
I don't think I can follow that discussion with Paul. But here's what I think we need to remember. Everybody out there driving and in-house, we're all in this together. And we're just trying to find the best solution that will accommodate you, help you save money, and still be legal and haul that freight. The fact is, our customers, most of the time, will work with us. Yes, it's an inconvenience, and yes, it delays time, takes time to do that, but it's all part of this business. So I will say this, don't be a victim when it comes to overweight fines. We'll help you solve it, all right? Right now, I'd like to welcome all of you people that are new with our company. We think you've made a great choice, and we thank you for being part of our family, part of our team. I would like to say this as well. You're entering a very dangerous profession. You have got to be on your A game when you get behind that wheel. And we've got a lot of million-miler safe drivers, and they can help you understand the meaning of safety in our operation. It doesn't come easy. You cannot be distracted. We talk about phones. We talk about eating. We talk about all kinds of things that will distract you. And when you get distracted, bad things can happen. So please understand our highest calling here at this place, Prime, Robert Lowe started it. He'll echo it. Our highest calling is safety. We've got customers here that spend time with us. We've got a great customer list. We've got great support from our customers. I will tell you, they will understand if you're in bad weather and you pull over and let us know where you are and you're not proceeding because of weather, we can call them, they'll understand it, we'll reschedule. We just need that communication from you all to convey to our customer base. They don't expect you to end up upside down in the ditch with their freight because you were driving when maybe you should have been parked, okay? Don't let your ego get in front of your ability to drive, okay? You know, in general, right now, sales, I know you all are interested in it. It's your livelihood, and it's a little challenging right now. The economy has really created some slowdown in our industry, but I'll tell you, we're running miles, empty miles to get to freight. We have freight in our network that we'll run you to. It's all part of the system. You got to trust it. We've had quite a run over the last several years, but things change. You know, again, Robert and I talk a lot about this. Man, if everything would just stay the same, this would be a really, really easy business. But it just don't. It won't ever stay the same. So we have to adjust accordingly. And one thing I can tell you, we won't do, we will not pull rates down to gain business. We won't quote rates at $1 a mile to gain volume. You all that are lease operators, you wouldn't want that. And we're not going to do it. That's not the way we roll. We have the highest level of service, in my opinion, in the refrigerated industry. And I think when we look at the big box stores and the volume that we get to handle that are really measuring our on-time delivery, we lead the pack. And we'll continue to do that. So our customer base really doesn't expect us to have to be the low price carrier. They give us a pass because they like our service, because we can be the low cost service provider. Okay? So just hang in there. The worm's going to turn. We'll all be just fine. We appreciate you so much. Thank you for what you do for our company and for our country and for our customers. I'm going to bring up the guy that started this thing a few years ago. It is a Good Friday. When you get our age, Robert and I, every Friday is a Good Friday, but this one is pretty special. So thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Steve. He's great. He's the best sales guy in the world. Now, I don't know if he's going to make it to 43 years. Oh, you've been here 42?
No, that's Paul. Paul, I'm 39. I'll be 40 next year if you don't run me off.
And I know for damn sure you're not going to make 42. Yeah, no, Steve is great. You know, we have a great team here. Chad, I just want to comment, you know, business is tough out there. I don't know if you've noticed or not, but it's tough. And as Steve said, very well, it's very correct that, you know, we pull rates down. That's one way to ingratiate ourselves to customers. Let's get real. You know, the CFO someplace, he likes that. So what else can we do so we don't have to pull rates down and we keep you moving? Those plant people that might be aggravated when we have to bring a load back unnecessarily, then what do they tell the corporate folks? Those plant people are really important. So now we can lower rates to get that business, or we can be the preferred carrier that's no fuss, no muss. We have the tech, you know, if Right Way was the answer, we'd have never invested, or if the CAT scale was the answer, plus besides the $15 and the out of route miles to go way, that's what we would have done. We got a lot of smart people around here that studied it very, very hard. So we can be the carrier that's smooth, courteous, you know, friendly, courteous drivers, you know, no hassle, get in and out cleanly and efficiently, or we can be the ones that are a pain in the ass and lower our rates. Now, which do you want? Which do you want? You want to be the one that's clean and smooth and gets in and out with no hassle, because those plant folks, they give those corporate people hell when they have a carrier that they don't like for whatever reason. And this can be a reason. There are a lot of them, but it can be a reason. So we're looking at all those things that we can do right now, because it's slow. We're fighting and scratching and doing things that we might not have dreamed of before, that are not just being the low price, cheapest dog out there to keep our trucks moving. And there are a lot of our competitors that are. So that's the reason, that's the rationale behind it. That's why we ask you to put up with Paul Higgins. You know, he's tough to listen to. I've been listening to him for, I guess, 42 years. But, you know, he is trying, we are trying to be that preferred carrier, not only with corporate, but also with those plant people, because they are important. They have opinions and they give that feedback up the chain of command, and it's really impactful on what we do. I appreciate you folks in the yellow vest. Thanks for choosing Prime. I know that you all are the cream of the crop, because we're very restrictive right now on what we're bringing in. We're just not bringing in everybody. So I'm looking at you three. You guys must be smart. I mean, maybe you graduated from Harvard or something. I don't know. You must be smart, or we wouldn't have invited you in. So you deserve this opportunity. We thank you for choosing Prime again. And I just ask you to be safe out there.
Robert, I think Buddy might have a question. Okay. Okay.
Buddy probably had a hard question, so he knows better than to ask me a hard question. So, folks, I'll just close with, as I always do. And Jeff Warda, man, thank you. Thanks for the years. This guy has been, very impactful. You are family. If you ever need someplace just to come and hang out, please come over here because we love you, brother. Your family. So I want you to be safe out there. God bless each of you. It's Good Friday. Please be safe. Thank you.